Welcome back, everybody. We're here today, part 2 of the Cabral HouseCalls. Hopefully you were able to tune in yesterday. Amazing questions were asked by the community. Today, I have no doubt they will be the same. Let me open up that big Word document right now. Scroll down to where my team has kindly marked off today's 5 or 6 questions that we'll get to. And if you want to read along with these questions, do feel free to do so at stephencabral.com/2718. That will be today's show. All right, I've got it pulled up. First question today looks like it's from Anonymous. And Anonymous says, and by the way, for those of you who are just tuning in for the very first time, the weekends are my time to be able to answer our community's questions. So anybody can write in, and they can do that at stephencabral.com/askcabral. Always happy to answer your questions. It takes somewhere between 8 to 12 weeks to get it read on the podcast and answered live. And you can always ask questions and get same-day answers at cabralsupportgroup.com. And then, of course, you can even search all the previous 2,717 podcasts at stephencabral.com/podcast. All right, let's get into the show. First question, Anonymous. Anonymous says, "Hi, Dr. Bral. I'm almost done with the CBO protocol. I'm so grateful to you and your team for all the support and resources you offer. I've been tracking my elimination to assess how my digestion is doing. However, it is a bit tricky for me because I sometimes cannot tell what causes reactions. If I have a healthy elimination today and an imbalanced one the next day, how do I know when I ate the food that causes the imbalance? How long does it take for the food to go through the digestive tract and become eliminated? I've been finding varied answers online." All right, yeah, great question. Happy to help. For those of you who don't know, the CBO protocol stands for Candida Bacterial Optimizing Protocol. So what it does is for people with gut imbalances, digestive imbalances, it helps you rebalance the gut. We've been using that now for years, literally world-renowned, all over the world. And I say that humbly, like we have thousands of practitioners using it with their clients and patients. I've had people in my Boston practice come from all over, and I'm just like, listen, you can just get it online. Like, that's it. So all of these things that we talk about today in my practice are at stephencabral.com/shop. You'll be able to find everything there. Okay, CBO protocol, bowel movements, how long is the elimination? The elimination is anywhere from 12 hours to 36 hours for typical bowel movements. Some people have faster bowel motility. Some people have slower bowel motility. In Ayurveda, the Vata body type has the slowest bowel motility, typically because of stress, anxiety, dryness, etc. And oftentimes, it is the endomorph who has faster bowel movements, but that's not always true because the Pitta type can actually have looser stools and can be a little bit more imbalanced. So let's just say you have regular imbalance, like just normal bowel movements for the most part, anywhere within that timeline, but you can't always just go by elimination. I do agree with you, like let's say that your stool is particularly sticky or it's you're more constipated or it's a little bit looser. You do want to go back to basically the 24 hours before. And you can't always tell which meal it was, but that's also why, so I have a whole podcast on like what your bowel movements should look like. I know, fun stuff, right? I have a whole podcast on CBO protocol. What was the one I was just going to say? Podcast on the rotation diet. So I recommend, yes, follow the CBO protocol, the diet plan, but check out a podcast called Creating Your Own Rotation Diet. And if you can't find the podcast by searching, just ask at cabralsupportgroup.com. The amazing Michelle will help you find it for you. All right. Victoria's up next. Recently, I've had a lot of, one last thing for Anonymous is that the most important thing with the CBO protocol is that you just go through the whole 12 weeks. And then after that, you're off of the herbs, you're off the biofilm disruptors, you're improving you with the probiotics, and that's gonna then hopefully normalize the bowel movements. So don't get overly concerned while you're on it, just look that you're improved after it. All right. Victoria's up next. Recently, I've had a lot of anxiety that appears to be mental, but also lack of sleep. My period makes it worse. I've started having panic attacks when I'm in environments where I feel unsafe due to chronic and persistent vertigo. I'd have for 4 to 5 years now. I eat all organic and very healthy. Tried your CBO, take supplements, etc. It's gotten to the point where I think I'm considering anti-anxiety medication, but because otherwise I feel so stressed and when even leaving my house. I have very high cortisol. Do you think it could work if I tried the medication, used it to reset my nervous system, and then weaned off of it? I had Lyme, mold in the past, and potentially a PTSD event. Okay, so again, I have to give you my disclaimer. I'm not here to provide medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, and medical diagnosis. especially in the field of psychology, right? However, I've studied psychology quite in depth. And the reason I say that is because I've been in practice a long time. And I've seen that the only people who don't get well is when there is a stronger psychological component based on self-worth, who they believe they are, self-image, et cetera, right? Or inner childhood trauma, or PTSD, right? PTSD is based typically on an event. So working with a therapist is a must, in my opinion. And it doesn't show weakness, it shows strength. It's like, yeah, I'm willing to do whatever it takes in order to get well. Now, there is high cortisol though. So we need to look at this. What's causing the high cortisol? Is it just psychology affecting physiology? It very well could be. But then have you done things like the adrenal soothe and full spectrum magnesium and calming magnesium? Like, have you tried those yet, right? At a dosage of maybe like 222 at each meal. Like, again, I don't know, and I can't give you exact, advice, but I would at least look and to suggest maybe starting there, looking at something there, right? To just see if we can calm the central nervous system. Going for a walk, meditation, binaural beats, like a lot of the lifestyle-based things. Now, what if we needed to do something specific? Have you tried something like GABA before for working on any anxiety, items like that, right? And then you might say, well, should I try the medication? Well, the thing is, if you try the medication and you know it works, and cortisol resets and everything resets, okay, then it was a psychological trigger, right? And so yes, then you can work on that and then work with your doctor to begin to wean off the medication. So for me, I'm all about getting people well. That's my main goal. Ideally, I want to do it all naturally, but if you need some pharmacological interventions while working as well in the lifestyle, the counseling, etc., then that might be your best route. Not for me to say, but I'm here to support you however I can. Same with my team. All right, and the lab that I would run is the stress, mood, and metabolism test, at least to get started. If not, the big 5, because there could be gut issues, but you did the CBO, so okay. I would go back to what I said originally. That's absolutely what I would do. Okay. And then find out what that PTSD event was and work on that with your therapist as well. Really important. And IFT, internal family systems training or therapy is great. I know hypnotism, as weird as it sounds, with regression-based therapy is fantastic. Potentially cognitive behavioral therapy. It's more sciencey based. Not as many people love that one, but it's been proven to work. There are a lot out there that could be really, really helpful. And then like inner child-based work too, you could look up. All right, Eric is up next. If I have too high, too low pattern on my HTMA, would you recommend infrared sauna 4 to 5 times a week? I have high levels of mold in my body and like to start working on detoxing it, but it seems like my sodium, potassium, and both quite low. I'm wondering if it's a good idea. With that being said, if I did the sauna that much a week, how much sodium, potassium might you recommend to replenish it? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, happy to help on this. I have no problem with people who have a too high, too low. So the too high is typically calcium, magnesium, and the too low is sodium and potassium. It doesn't mean just sodium and potassium, meaning oh, you need to get more of those. Yes, but what it shows is typically chronic stress. You're like in the middle of it, right? Not completely depleted on all 4 electrolytes, but too high and too low. So you're not in alarm stage. You're not totally burnt out. You're in the middle. And so yes, I'm still good with sauna. I recommend, obviously, the mold detox protocol. Again, you can find that at stevencabral.com/shop. The sauna, definitely recommend that. Don't overheat, don't overtax yourself. But yes, then you can do a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lime or lemon in your water. Bring that into the sauna. Make sure you're well hydrated. And how much do you need? It would be impossible, literally impossible for any practitioner to tell you. So we always say sea salt to taste. When it tastes too salty, when the water tastes too salty to you, it's too salty, too much salt. Add the potassium as a balance, add the lime as a balance for the potassium or lemon, and you should be good to go. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. All right, let's get into some more questions here. Marianne is up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. Thank you so much for your time and allowing us to ask these questions. I have one about sleep. I usually feel a bit cold when I go to sleep, so I wear socks and thick covers. However, I often wake up in the middle of the night because I'm feeling too hot. So I'm really not sure how to deal with this. I can't fall asleep if I'm too cold, but I keep waking up if I'm too hot. What would your advice be? Thanks so much, Marianne. All right. So it's great. It really is a great question. I don't know your age. I don't know your thyroid levels. I don't know your blood sugar. I don't know your cortisol. There's an amazing lab. I don't know why this one's come up because it's not always the first one I recommend. But if there was one lab I'd recommend to you, and only one lab, it would be the stress, mood, and metabolism test. You can find that at stevencabral.com/shop. Again, just type in stress, mood, metabolism. You'll find the lab that I'm referring to. Because let's say you are perimenopausal or premenopausal, but maybe in your later 30s to early 40s, right? What we want to look at is potentially estrogen dominance, okay? It can be a little bit worse at night because progesterone levels aren't where they should be, meaning in terms of typically most women that we see in my practice, they have normal levels of estrogen, but low levels of progesterone. And the low levels of progesterone help with thermal regulation. They help with inflammation. They help with sedation at night, being able to fall asleep and relax. And it gets worse during the last half of their menstrual cycle. Okay, so that's typical for estrogen dominance. There's another issue. If cortisol levels stay elevated at night, you get a bump at night because of a drop in blood sugar, you could raise norepinephrine, stress in the body, could heat you up. All right, there's a few ways around this though, so let's say none of that is true. I would try using a more breathable sheet and comforter. So I always recommend, you'll see the sheets I recommend just in case there's different ones in the future. My most up-to-date resources are at stevencabral.com/resources. For 99% of everything you see there, I don't own the company at all, right? The only company that I am founder of is Equalife. That's it, right? IHP, I teach, right? Yes, so that's it. That's the only company. So I recommend a lot of great companies there, and I recommend looking at a breathable comforter sheet. Let's say that you are, though, in some country that they don't ship to. Understood. Look for bamboo-based sheets, 100% organic bamboo sheets whenever possible. I found those to be the absolute best. Second best would be 100% organic cotton. Bamboo, I think, is even more breathable, even softer. But okay, let me give you all of them. Bamboo, cotton, wool are the ideal ones for breathability. And then just look at, are all the materials made out of that? If not, if it's polyester, get rid of it. Get something that's more breathable that can help your body to better thermal regulate. All right? Let's see. Can we get in one more question? We can, absolutely. Jillian is up next, or Gillian. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm a 41-year-old woman, and I've just found out I have Hidradenitis Suppurativa. I want to avoid antibiotics, injections, hormones. I'm currently beginning an elimination diet. Any other suggestions or products I can use? Yeah, we've actually answered this a bunch on the show. So let's just see. If we go to stevencabral.com, and we go to, let's just see, podcast. We'll click on that in the navigation bar. And then I just type in hidradenitis, and I press search. Now, the problem is that sometimes nothing will pop up, and that's because, it could be spelt incorrectly. I could have spelt it incorrectly for different reasons. But basically, what hidradenitis, because that is why, because it's not actually spelled correctly, and that's why. And again, this isn't your fault. You could have read it somewhere, copy and pasted, or a lot of people voice text in their questions, and I'm trying to make sense of all the different little typos. And again, honestly it's no big deal. I don't care at all, but that does happen. So it was just spelled incorrectly. But basically, what it is, it's little lumps on the skin, inflammation that start to get tender. And they can start to be painful, and they can start to almost look like a boil and have pus. So I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Sometimes it's misconstrued for boils or folliculitis, etc. I've always looked at it as there is, your skin is the largest excretory organ in your body. What's trying to be pushed out? That's always what I'm looking at. Absolutely. So is there bacteria? Is there an infection? Are there heavy metals? Are there pesticides like glyphosate? Are there, what is your body exposed to? So again, I want to say this. I'm not giving you medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. Personally, if it was me, I would do a 21-day functional medicine detox, without a doubt. Then I would look into, before I did the 21-day functional medicine detox, I would run the Big Five. 100%, I would run the Big Five. If you're not able to, then I would do the starter kit. Okay, it's like a quarter of the price. And yeah, that's what I would do. without a doubt. And then I would do the daily foundational protocol for sure. And I would start with the 21-day functional medicine detox. Then I would transition to the daily foundational protocol plus whatever it said that I needed. If I needed to do a mold detox, I would do that. If I needed to do a CBO, I would do that. If I needed to heal and seal the gut wall, I would do that. Because there's absolutely an underlying root cause, like without a doubt. So that's what I would look at, and that's where I would start. Hopefully that was helpful. Gillian, I appreciate you writing in. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for being a part of this community. You are the best. I'll be back tomorrow on our Mindset and Motivation Monday, one of my favorite shows of the week. Hopefully you enjoy it. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.